Hello, everybody. Welcome to UNRE's Healthcare. So, today we have come here to celebrate the PCOS Awareness Month. So, September, as we know, that is the PCOS Awareness Month. Today we are taking a topic PCOS Essentials. PCOS Awareness Month. So, before that, I would like to play our video. So that's our plan for UNRE's healthcare and in its awareness program to give awareness to adolescent and young women for their health and when do they take medical support and how should they improve their health. So let's start our presentation for today. So today we are going to yes, this would be better. Yeah. As today is the PCOS Awareness Month program, today's topic is PCOS Essentials, and now we are going to look out the definition of polycystic ovarian syndrome. So it is prevalent reproductive and endocrine metabolic disorder with variable phenotypes and an underlying pathophysiology and a condition commonly characterized by hirsutism, obesity, menstrual irregularities, and infertility and enlarged ovaries, thought to reflect excessive androgen secretion of ovarian stroma. So, when we see its epidemiology, there is a question that is the incidence of PCOS in adolescent rising or has the diagnosis improved? So, our answer is yes, both things are working. There is increase in incidence of PCOS in adolescents. Secondly, because of diagnosis has improved from various criteria, there is a diagnosis is made easy. So, many of the cases are picked up. So, as we see global prevalence, it is 2.22 to 26%, and roughly 1 in 10 or 15 women worldwide are diagnosed by with PCOS, and 36% of women in India are suffering from PCOS. 50% presence with infertility and 50% presence with recurrent miscarriages. So when we see PCOS affects 1 in 10 women, that is in 10 to 15% women estimated to have polycystic ovarian syndrome, and 50% women with PCOS go undiagnosed, and 50% women with PCOS well developed they shall develop in future type 2 diabetes before age 40 and 3 times increased risk in women with PCOS of developing endometrial cancer. So where we see the pathophysiology, like from hypothalamus, there is a pulsatile release of GnRH, then pituitary, then it will increase the LH and FSH ratio in means from the ovarian theca, which will give rise to androgens. Then also adrenal gland is also producing excess of androgens, and androgens it is leading to the abnormal lipid profile. Then when in adipose tissue, it is leading to cause estrone production, which is non-cyclical. So all this giving an abnormal feedback to hypothalamus and pituitary, which in turn is in androgen excess, there is a abnormality seen in skin as hirsutism, acne, acanthosis nigricans, and in from adipose tissue, it is forming this insulin resistance condition. It is coming, and also follicular atresia is there in the ovaries, which is leading to anovulation and amenorrhea. And when there is estrone, non-cyclical hormone in uterus, it is leading to endometrial hyperplasia. So one more cause, that is psychosexual function, that is increased prevalence of psychosexual dysfunction, and should consider exploring how features of PCOS, like including hirsutism, body image, menstrual disturbances, infertility, and feeling abnormal including in it, and impact on sex life and relationships in PCOS. So altogether, it's a female sexual function index. So when we see genetics and lifestyle causes and epigenetics, so it is causing hormonal changes, which is exacerbated by obesity. It is causing low-grade inflammations and also hyperandrogenism and insulin resistance, which is leading to clinical hirsutism by hyperandrogenism. And due to insulin resistance, there is a metabolic syndrome with type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance, and reproductive functions like oligoanovulation is seen, and menstrual irregularities and subfertility is also seen, which is all leading to psychosocial issues, that is body image, self-esteem, depression, and anxiety. So what are the causes of chronic inflammation? This would be due to excess of estrogen, chronic stress, inflammatory diet, you are seeing this all junk food, and unhealthy gut, the birth control pills, longer duration of usage of birth control pills, and over exercising. So diagnostic criteria, what would be the diagnostic criteria? These all could be the diagnostic criteria, that is NIH criteria. There is two criteria are there in this: hyperandrogenism and abnormal menstruation. And androgen excess and PCOS society criteria. In this also hyperandrogenism and ovarian function, that is oligoanovulation and or polycystic ovarian morphology is seen. And then we see Rotterdam criteria, that is 2 of 3 criteria are there. And in this, as we see in androgen excessive society, there is exclusion should be there for other hypoandrogenic disorders or ovarian disorders. Then in Rotterdam criteria, there is hyperandrogenism, abnormal menstruation, and polycystic ovaries in ultrasound. So in all this, as we see, based on this, we have a different phenotypes, A, B, C, D of PCOS. So type A, it will be hyperandrogenism, chronic anovulation, and polycystic ovaries. And other phenotype would be type B, hyperandrogenism and chronic anovulation, and type C, hypoandrogenism and polycystic ovaries, type D, chronic anovulation and polycystic ovaries. Like this, phenotypes could be different, but the diagnosis is polycystic ovarian syndrome. So as we see, there is a androgen excess and PCOS society criteria, irregular periods and high androgens and multiple cysts is the criteria. So in Rotterdam criteria, as we see here, hyperandrogenism, oligo or anovulation, and polycystic ovaries after exclusion of other etiologies. And in case of diagnostic criteria required for adolescents, there is oligo or anovulation, clinical or biochemical hyperandrogenism, then clinical androgens, and after exclusion of other etiologies. But ultrasound is not recommended in diagnosis less than 8 years post menarche adolescence. So PCOM, that is polycystic ovarian morphology, that is less than 8 years of menarche, ultrasound should not be used for the diagnosis of PCOS. Whereas more than 8 years after menarche, 8 megahertz, the threshold for PCOM should be on either ovary, and follicle number per ovary of greater than 20, and or an ovarian volume greater than 10 ml. So again, if we see these all criteria, NIH, Rotterdam Androgen Access Society, and PCOS ovaries change in 2018. What are the changes? So rest is the same, but OPCOS ovaries, if we see, that is multiple cysts greater than 5 per ovary, and cyst at the periphery with necklace appearance or generalized size of the ovary usually increased, that is volume more than 8 cc, presence of greater than 10 cysts measuring 2 to 8 in diameter arranged peripherally around a dense core of stroma. So in 2018, this is more than 20 cysts. So nextly, if we see signs and symptoms of polycystic syndrome, 10 most important, that are irregular periods, absence of menstruation, excessive facial and body hair, hair thinning and hair loss, alopecia, and abnormal skin discoloration, high blood pressure, acne, weight gain, depression, stress. So here are some we have seen. This is acne, acanthosis nigricans, and alopecia, male pattern baldness, hirsutism, and here we see the polycystic ovaries in the ultrasound. So if we see, to make a diagnosis, rule out masquerade, that is urine or serum HCG for ruling out pregnancy, and total or free testosterone is checked, 17 hydroxyprogesterone is checked, and TSH, prolactin also be checked. And consider ovarian reserve testing, that is FSH and estradiol and AMH, LH. Then rule in PCOS is 2 out of 3, that is hyperandrogenism, clinical or biochemical, irregular menstrual cycles, polycystic appearing ovaries. Again and again, I'm repeating this criteria because it's very important to diagnose a PCOS. So diagnostic criteria, as we have already seen, adolescent PCOS, that is hyperandrogenism, defined as either moderate, severe acne, hirsutism, total testosterone, and it could be upper limit of the, more than upper limit of the adult women, and menstrual irregularities defined as amenorrhea for 3 months or more in girls more than 1 year from menarche, and menstrual cycle length less than 20 days or greater than 45 days in girls more than 2 years from menarche. So exclusion of other diagnoses that may cause hypoandrogenism with menstrual irregularities should be ruled. So to understand the PCOS and their signs and symptoms, again, we look out for each and every part, that is in head, dandruff, male pattern baldness, depression, alopecia, and face, excessive hair growth, coarse hair growth, and masculine features, skin, dark patches, cystic acne, abdomen, weight gain could be there, and pelvis, thickening of wall of uterus, and that is endometrial hyperplasia, and also polycystic ovaries, multiple cysts can be seen on ultrasound of ovaries, may cause pelvic pain if large enough. Then irregular menses, infertility. So as we see the causes, there is the increased GnRH hypothalamus release, and increased LH and FSH pituitary, and then insulin, increased insulin, which is leading to weight gain, skin changes, and also fungal infections. And in ovaries, there is follicles do not mature, so there is no ovulation and there is no menstruation, and adrenals releasing more of estrogen, which is changing into testosterone, which is again causing acne, facial hair, male pattern baldness, masculine features. So here we see what we do. Treatment part, actually I am discussing here to have a one idea, that's it, but you have to go for your gyno for your assistance medically. So Few of these: hirsutism, acne, hyperandrogenism. We use oral contraceptive pills, and hirsutism, anti-androgens, hyperinsulinemia, hyperandrogenism, ovulation. We use anti-diabetics, ovulation induction, and estrogen antagonist. We use an ovulation induction, gonadotropins, and used sequentially with HCG, which in itself it's a big topic. So just for giving you one idea, I have discussed here. So the treatment of PCOS, it's a multidisciplinary team should come in. So lifestyle plan and support should be there, and metabolic screening and intervention should be there, and nutritional counseling should be there, psychological and behavioral support, treatment of hyperandrogenic symptoms, and endometrial protection, contraception, and fertility counseling should be there. So as we see, treatment guidelines 2018. So all these important societies have given guidelines. First line therapy, that is aiming normalization of weight reduction. So lifestyle changes, increased physical activity, that is paradigm shift in diet, and smoking cessation may help overweight and obesity. And counseling should be there. Long-term complications, to control long-term complications. So big question, it can PCOS could be reversible? Let's see how we can do. So holistic treatment of PCOS, treat the whole person, that is diet, that is no or low carbs, control of inflammation, proper physical exercise should be there, adequate rest and sleep, optimizing gut microbiome, we give probiotics, prebiotics, and stress reduction should be there. Then the PCOS lifestyle management, there should be weight reduction by dietary modification and exercise. Then we queue for weight reduction, hormonal impact, what it does. Impact of weight reduction on ovarian morphology might involve, see, a more favorable endocrine environment after a rise in sexual hormone binding globulin, and a reduction in free androgens, and improved insulin sensitivity. So a decrease in volume might be due to the reductions in microfollicles and ovarian stroma. So a reduction in ovarian volume and in the number of microfollicles could therefore be involved in lowering circulating androstenedione and improving the clinical picture of these patients during diet treatment. So then, as little as 5 to 10% of initial weight loss over 6 months improves fertility outcomes. So benefits of weight reduction, it decreases the following like insulin resistance, serum androgen concentrations, ovarian size, number of cysts, reversal of plasma lipids like cholesterol, fatty acids, phospholipids, and triglycerides. It restores ovulation and fertility. So big yes to the answer, like will weight reduction decreases the PCOS symptoms? Yes. So, but with all other symptoms reduction, it should be a multidisciplinary part. But weight reduction, yes, it is giving a good result. So, diets in the treatment, like it should be low carb diet, low in carbohydrates, that is 43%, then high in fiber and 45% fat. 18% monosaturated fat, less than 8 saturated fat improved the metabolic profile of women with PCOS within 16 days. Here you see the keto diet with the 70-20-10, that is here we have a large portion of fats, 70 to 80%. Then we have proteins 20 to 25%, then carbs only 5 to 10%. Then paleo diet 40, 40 and 20. Then quantity and quality of carbs, that is determine your health and length of your life. So we can turn off your fat switch as to have permanent weight loss and healthy you. So diabetes, till yesterday we assumed it to be a chronic progressive disease with no cure. Now the talk is freedom from diabetes. So PCOD and diabetes both have a same pathophysiology and can be reversed in 6 to 12 months with high fat or moderate protein or low carb diet and high fiber diet. So we could have intermittent fasting as well, and exercise in this, it should be a dedicated program. So here the dietary fiber. Dietary fiber in PCOS, like dietary fiber is a non-digestible form of carbohydrates, helps to increase nutrient density, promote healthy lipid profiles and glucose tolerance, and ensure normal gastrointestinal function. And naturally occurring dietary fiber may help reduce the risk of metabolic syndromes, cardiovascular disease, and obesity and type 2 diabetes. Adequate intake of fiber is 14 gram per 1,000 calories or 25 gram per day for women, adult women. And as we see healthy diet guidelines, then nutrient-rich foods with minerals, proteins, whole grains, and other nutrients, but lower in calories, include a variety of fruits, fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, low-fat dairy products, skinless poultry and fish, nuts and legumes, non-tropical vegetable oils, limit saturated fat, trans fat, sodium, red meat, sweets, and sugar sweetened beverages. Limit them. Then diet 1,000 to 200 calories. Best drink is water. Then avoid sugary, sweet drink. Food is bad. So fruits and vegetables, this will lead to calories. Without feeling hungry, we can take these fruits and vegetables. So nuts and seeds could be a 2 portions per day, and no to refined oil or flour or sugar. Then if satiety, if you want satiety and you don't cause the hyperglycemia, you should not have hyperglycemia, then you have to take a good carbs, which are complex carbs, like high fiber diet should be there. Then you have to eat slowly. Like in one of the video I have seen, you should chew the food 32 times. But see if it is practical or so, eat slowly is the thing. So no food coming from the factory. Then fats or calories dense, remember always. Then high protein, low carbs, complex carbs, good fats can be found in like skimmed milk, curd, cheese, eggs, fish. Then we can do intermittent fasting, as I told you earlier. Then macronutrients, normally it should be C is to F is to P. That is carbohydrate is to fat is to protein. It should be 60 is to 25 is to 50. Then we can follow like keto, paleo, as I said. So other nutrients with benefits for PCOS, as we see here, mainly chromium. Chromium benefit is normalizes blood glucose levels. It could be found in broccoli, mushrooms, green beans, eggs, fish, chicken, dairy items. Then zinc controls appetite, thyroid hormone. So it would be present in spinach, pumpkin seeds, oats, sunflower seeds. Then iodine regulates androgen release. It would be present in cheese, cow's milk, eggs, soy milk, iodized table salt. Then magnesium maintains normal glucose metabolism. It is found in sesame seeds, wheat bran, almonds, cashews. Then calcium, it is found in detoxification, natural biochemical balance. Then it is found in sesame seeds, tofu, flax seeds, figs, almonds, green turnips. Then folic acid, it is present in, it shall help in promoting ovulation. It is present in plain yogurt, egg, milk, roasted chicken. Then vitamin D3, it normalizes insulin levels. It will help in ovulation and menstruation. Then it is present in mushroom, soy milk, cheese, egg, etc. Then omega-3, it shall benefit you by decreasing testosterone in your body, and it is present in flax seeds, fish oil, and chia seeds. So normally PCO diet include chia seeds, flax seeds, fishes, organic, brown eggs, spinach, raw guava, and gooseberries. So how the PCOS and infertility lifestyle should be modified. That is, one mantra is there. That is, you increase your physical activity. So FSH, LH, and the sex hormone binding globulin levels or improve significantly, and total testosterone get lowered with exercise or physical activity. So behavioral therapy, that is by quitting smoking, helps lowering the already high risk of metabolic syndrome. So we have to de-stress our body, de-stress our mind. That is, motivation and reduction in psychological distress and anxiety is the key to agreement with medication and dietary management of PCOS. So as a summary, I want to say too much carbohydrates and processed food are cause of insulin resistance, responsible for metabolic syndrome, including PCOS. Low consumption of dietary fiber, that is complex carbs, may contribute to ovarian dysfunction in PCOS through down regulation of metabolic processes. So it may be necessary to supplement the diets of some women with PCOS with chromium, zinc, and magnesium, etc. As I told you, because of deficiencies and excesses of nutrients in the daily diet. So one of the most important dietary deficiency of folic acid in a diet should not be forgotten. Take folic acid if desiring for pregnancy. So thank you so much for your patience listening. It's not a complete, but little more awareness about awareness about the PCOS, so that we could help our young and adolescent people for knowing better what is PCOS and what all we are facing in PCOS, its symptoms, and what are the remedies we can do in our hand. So in home you can take such a means you can have a physical activity, exercise, and also can take proper diet as mentioned in this video. So all the best. Have a safe journey in your life with the proper diet and proper exercise, and say bye bye tata to PCOS. It can be reversed with your efforts and with proper guidance, with the help of you, your parents, your colleagues, you are doctor. So all the best. Stay healthy. So UNRE's Healthcare would bring next video for your awareness soon. Bye bye from my side.